Have you ever heard the expression, be customer-centric? I love that expression. You know, in my business today, I spend a lot of time with company leaders, organizations who are trying to understand what it means to be customer-centric. And I love the fact that people use that word. But one of the things I find most annoying about that expression is everybody tells you to do it. Nobody tells you how. Nobody tells you how to be customer-centric. Nobody tells you how to deliver an amazing customer experience. And I love the fact, I spoke at over 200 conferences in 2015. Each and every single speaker I had the privilege of sharing the platform with speaks about customer experience. They tell you what to do. Very few know how to do it. So for the past 3 years, my team and I have spent time trying to understand how do you deliver an amazing customer experience. When people say customer experience, what do they actually mean? What are the components of customer experience? If I took the expression customer experienced and reduced it to its granularity, what would I find? So we found that there were 4 components to customer experience. 3 R's and 1 C. RRC we called it. Be relevant, be reliable, be responsive, be convenient. Relevant. Offer the customer what he needs when he needs it. A lot of us in businesses, and I've seen this sitting on boards myself, we came up with a strategy 5 years ago to do something, and we plowed down the strategy to do this thing. The market changes, the customer changes, his needs change, but we've already committed resources to the strategy. So what do? We just keep going down the path we've been going down. It's the Titanic approach, right? Just keep plowing down this path because this business we're running is too big to change course quickly. And so relevance is about offering the customer what he needs when he needs it. Be reliable. What does reliable mean? It means timeliness, right? And timeliness is so important. But it also means, even more important, consistency. Consistency. Let me break down a myth here. A lot of people think consistency is ultimately about whether or not we have amazing IT systems in the business. IT, as a platform, enables you to deliver more consistent customer experience. It, in and of itself, doesn't deliver the experience. It is simply an enabler to deliver the experiences. What does it really take to deliver these experiences? We've found is the culture in the organization. So in terms of reliability, convenience is important. Consistency is important. But on the consistency question, it's whether or not you have the right culture. Here's a good example of this. Our dear Department of Home Affairs here in South Africa has arguably one of the best home affairs systems in the world. Arguably, the rate at which they can manufacture a passport and an ID is in the top 10% of many home affairs around the world. They have an efficient system that they've spent a long time building and developing. But for the common man who goes to a home affairs office, often it's not a joyful one, the experience of going there. Because when you go, there is a disconnect between the efficiency of the system and the culture of the organization. So what happens? You walk in, nobody greets you, nobody acknowledges your presence, nobody talks to you. You walk into their 4 queues in the home affairs. You find a queue, you stand in it. You're not sure you're in the right queue. At the end of the hour, you get to the front of the queue, the grail of the home affairs office, right? And when you get to the front of the queue, the young lady in front of you looks at you and says, "Where are your documents?" You say, "What documents?" She says, "There are documents at the back, you've got to complete them." You go to the back, you get there, and there's a wooden deck with 5 lots of papers, each of these a different color. You don't know which one to fill in. What do? You fill in all 5. You take this library of documents, wait another hour, get to the front of the queue, and then when you do, you're told that the system is offline. Because even though the organization has an amazing IT back end, the culture doesn't support the ability and the efficiency of the system. And so when we talk about delivering a consistent customer experience, consistency is where culture and system architecture and efficiency connect. Where we enable our people to deliver, but they understand they're better enabled by our systems. So that's on the reliability question. We then speak about convenience. Be where the customer needs you, when the customer needs you. And finally, be responsive. This, in our experience, now remember, we run a research firm. So we research organizations. We found in our experience, this is the most interesting one. Organizations' inability to be responsive. What does being responsive mean? It means listening. And listening not with the intent to respond. Listening with the intent to understand. Understanding with the view to act. And these, whilst subtle, are critical differences. You see it on Twitter. And a consumer is unhappy about something. They tweet something. The organization has a call center of people who are monitoring their social media. They respond to this consumer by saying, hey, we've just followed you, follow us back, DM us your details, let's see if we're helping you. That's not listening with the intent to understand, that's listening with the intent to respond. What you're doing is you're essentially doing reputation management, crisis management online. That doesn't give a materially better customer experience. What does? We have a client that operates in Nigeria. This specific client is a consumer-facing business. And they were having some quality issues with the product they were selling. And their customer was complaining about the product they were selling. And so the client said, instead of us responding to our competitors, or to our customers rather, by telling them we're fixing it, we're on top of the issue, why don't we just take a step back? Let's bring them all in and take them into our confidence. And let's try to understand what is at the heart of the issue. So they took 3 months. They went on a road show around the country. And if you've ever been to Nigeria, you know it's a big country. And in each part of the country they went to, they would call focus groups of customers. And they would ask them specific questions around this product. And then they would listen. Listen with the intent to understand. Because for them, what they couldn't connect with was how they had made an incremental change in the formulation of the product. But the backlash from the customer was big. What they ended up finding was that for the customer, the component of the ingredients they changed was the single most important component. It's like the fizz for the Coca-Cola, right? If you took the fizz out of Coca-Cola, left the taste the same, and left the color the same, the branding and packaging the same, you would not have a happy Coca-Cola consumer. And so what they ended up realizing through going on a process of listening, understanding, was they could now act by changing that part of the formulation in terms of the ingredient, and then get their customers back and get them happy. They did it for strategic reasons. They were trying to cut costs and manage a more efficient business. But the part of the product formulation that they changed was the single most important part. They wouldn't have realized that if every time customers complained, they would simply send customers a complimentary of their stuff or say, we're looking into your issue. And so what you're finding in the modern day is customers are using crisis management techniques to try and manage delivery of value to the customer. And this is perhaps the greatest danger. So let's get back to the architect. What does it take to deliver an amazing customer experience? 3 R's, 1 C. Be reliable, be responsive, be relevant, and be convenient.